Welcome everyone. My name is Nino.
And I'm Lulu.
And this is Thriving at Love and Relationships. Welcome yet again to yet another episode of Thriving at Love and Relationships. So, today what are we going to be talking about?
So today, let's talk about something very interesting.
First of all, point out to them what they must have noticed.
Okay. So some of you would already have noticed that there's something that is off today, which is that we're both wearing different colors.
Yes, different colors.
Yes.
And for most people that are used to the
and co,
today is going to be very different.
Yes.
And what's the reason why we're wearing different colors?
Because we're talking about something that makes us different.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Yes. Yeah. So the two have become one. But even in that becoming one, both of us still have our individualities. Yes. And that's what we're talking about today. So if you guessed right, yes, we're talking about personality types.
Yep. So today we're talking about personality types, and the colors we wore depict our personalities.
Yes. So you are
melancholy.
Is it cool males or what?
Cool blue, cool males.
Yeah, cool males. And I am the peaceful phlegmatic.
But we're not just going to be talking about two of us. So we're going to be talking about all types of personalities.
Yes.
Now, how did we come about this personality discussion in our marriage?
I mean, before we even go there, so just to chip in or just to give a disclaimer, right? I know that we know that everybody knows the popular sanguines, cholerics, phlegmatics, and melancholics, right? But by adding a little twist to it today, right? We're going to be using the Maxwell's disc personality types, right? To be explaining this, and the reason is because the Maxwell's disc personality type is actually more detailed, and it gives a more enhanced and robust explanation to these personality types. And guess what? My husband is actually a certified Maxwell disc trainer. Did I get it right? You got
it. Yes, Maxwell disc trainer or Maxwell behavioral analysis trainer.
Come on now, behavioral analysis.
So I don't know, I just picked up a passion for truly understanding people, because I had realized that a lot of relationships, you see people that don't know how to communicate and they get frustrated. And you could just know that just them understanding that the person that they're trying to communicate with sees communication in a different angle. Because why are you laughing?
Because I remember the initial story as to how we got here, but continue.
What's the initial story? Yeah, tell the story.
One day, my husband woke up and was like, I like to know how human beings think. There's something about how they think. Maybe it's because of their background. Oh, I should do a master's in psychology. I'm like, psychology. I knew that psychology will not last, but I mean, I have to be a supportive wife.
Wow.
And then he started. It was actually, I think it's just God that brought this on your way, because he now realized that psychology is not really what he wanted to know, even though in some way this is psychology, So he now stumbled upon this Maxwell stuff, and then he started learning about it. Even before then, so he was like, "Oh, I think I want to be a counselor." And then he realized, "Well, counseling life is not for me." He just wants to know how this, what makes this person
the reason why counseling life is not for me is because, and there's no shade that counselors like my wife, that you guys spend a lot of time listening to people and helping them get to the solutions,
but not preferring the
solution. And I love to prefer solutions, so I feel I will lose my mind if I'm hearing somebody talking and I'm like, this is the solution, just do it and you get out of my office. So therefore I preferred coaching, which is helping people get to their optimal capacity. So so that's through my advice, exactly. So that's how we got to this journey, and if you hear me talk about it, I'm very passionate. I'm very passionate.
Passion is gone.
I'm very passionate. Which you most likely will see as we go through the.
I'm just gonna be here to chill and learn from my husband.
So yes, so like we've spoken about, you guys probably know the choleric, melancholic, phlegmatic, and sanguine. And what we're talking about is still within that region or that alleyway, but it's going to be, we're going to use different terminologies. And this is called DISC, D-I-S-C. And each of those words, they represent different types of personalities. And we're going to be starting with the D. Now, D is dominant, is decisive. You mostly would know them as the cholerics. Their color is red. Not red because it's a bad thing, but when you
aggressive,
when you think of them in that color, then you know what to expect from them. Now, if you're in a relationship, it's very important that you know the personality of the person you are dating. Because when you know somebody's personality, you know what they like, what they don't like. You know how to communicate with them. You know what they are afraid of, and you know what motivates them. Now,
when you say afraid of, do you mean their weaknesses?
Their greatest fears. Also, you know their weaknesses, because every personality has, you know, a weakness and a strength that you can both leverage on in the relationship. And starting with the D's, the cholerics. These people, they are natural born leaders. They are extremely strong-willed. They are the go-getters. Usually we'll say them as the visionary guys. In any organization, majority of the top CEOs or top leaders are usually cholerics. You know, they can be very loud and angry when things don't go their way. You know, they say what they think. They are very direct, and they tend to lack a bit of tact. So
they're the kind of people that say, "I'm just saying my mind."
I'm just saying my mind without any empathy or, you know, emotional intelligence. Most of the time, they're not really trying to hurt your feelings, but they just say it as it is. Because that's just how they think, that's just how they behave, you know. Their greatest needs in this life is to be in control of a situation. To be a leader. If there was a fire here, they are usually the one that is leading everybody out the door. They are the action people. They are always very, very, let me do this. They are very results oriented.
So they are most likely kind of people that you would see first.
When you would see first. They usually are the leaders and not the followers. In fact, those people, they are very difficult to lead them, because they believe that they most likely can be doing it
better than you.
Exactly, better than you. So they want to be in control. They want to be seen as competent at what they do. You know, they want to be admired for getting things done right. So if your spouse is a D, these are the kind of ways they think. When you're communicating with a D person, you have to be fully results oriented. They don't like too much chit chats. They don't like too much.
Remember your dad?
Yes, my dad is a D, so he doesn't like too much explaining.
No stories. Tell me.
Stop speaking English. So usually, if you're trying to communicate with them and you're overly rambling and trying to be emotional, usually you're not going to get to communicate with them.
Oh my God! I just remember the story you told me. When you said, "Don't be emotional."
Yeah, don't be emotional. So usually, that type of person, if you want to motivate them, you give them an opportunity to be in charge of something, you know, an opportunity to lead. When you're speaking to them, you know, you say things like, I like that you're very confident, you know, in yourself. I like that when you set your mind to do something, you go ahead and you get right with it. I like that you're very committed and decisive. Anything that makes them feel like they're in charge. Exactly. That's the way you communicate with them. Usually, some of their weaknesses now, under pressure, when they are feeling stressed out, they can be very, very demanding. Yeah, they can be very, very controlling. So they are born leaders, but the other side of that is that when something is not going their way, they can be very, very angry and controlling and demanding. You know, they can be very rebellious, very, very rebellious. They can be very resistant, and they can be very strong-willed. So these are the D's. They are visionary. They are born leaders. They like to take charge of everything, but also know that the other side of it is that they can be very, very, you know, stubborn.
So if you're trying to also communicate with someone who is a D, go straight to the points. Don't tell stories.
Go straight to the points.
Straight to the points.
Exactly.
What you need from them. So you know there's some people that when they want to ask you for something, they first of all text you, "Good morning. How are you doing? How are you? How is the family?" The D's don't care about that.
They don't like it.
"Good morning. Please, I need so and so and so from you."
Exactly. So if you have a husband or a wife that is a D, when you call them, they're most likely not going to be like, "Oh, hey baby, how are you?" They're going to be like, "Hello, yeah, what do you want?"
Exactly.
Right now I'm in a meeting. And to you might feel, I'm your wife, but that's not the way they think. So whenever you want to communicate with your spouse that is a D, try and just get to the point of the conversation. You don't say, "I want to talk to you," and then you now don't say anything. You get like they'll be very angry at that type of situation. So those are the D's, the cholerics. Now, We're moving on to
the eyes.
The eyes. Now, fun fact about the D's, they are also very extroverted. So they like being in the spotlight. They are extroverted. Now we're going to talk about the eyes.
Fun-loving eyes.
These are the influencers. Usually we know them as the sanguines. Their color type is...
Wait, when you say influencers, like, do you mean like normal Instagram influencers?
Not Instagram influencers, but they're usually the most influential in a circle.
Okay.
Because of their personality. And usually we know them as the sanguines. Just by saying sanguines, I'm sure you're already thinking that, I know one person that is sanguine. By the time we begin to list some of their traits, you begin to be able to picture some of them. Now, these sanguines, these eyes, they are active. They always need to do something, or they always need to know that something is going on. They want to involve themselves in the lives of others. They usually will enter into a room mouth first.
Yeah.
Which is when they enter into me, hey guys, what's going on here, man? This place is darling. Let's turn up the music. They are very loud. They are very loud in their dressing. If 5 people enter into the room, you will know the sanguine by the way that they are dressing.
Igbo people are naturally sanguine.
Man, I think Igbo people are sanguine and choleric.
I said because they are the ones that wear the sequins.
I think the founder of Igbo land was a sanguine.
And when you go to their house, their chairs are gold and white.
Just show me all the glitz and glamour.
I'm sorry, my people. I love you guys.
She's the one showing people. Me, I'm not. So yes, they are very talkative. They are very optimistic. They are very open about their feelings. They're very emotionally expressive. They make friends easily. So they're the one that usually have all the friends. They are the most popular at school, popular at the workplace.
Oh gosh.
You know, they are very creative. They have ideas all the time. You know, they might be a little bit not too attentive to details because they are always very
likely. They don't pay attention to details.
And one issue is that they also might have a difficulty being alone, because they like to make friends. So usually the sanguine is a person that will not sit down in the house. If you're in a meeting and the meeting is getting too boring, they try to just do something to put their attention.
That's an unnecessary joke.
Exactly. They just want to crack unnecessary joke. They just want to make the whole place laugh. You know, they have difficulty being, quiet. They want to always be in a fun and friendly environment.
They like activity.
They like activity. So which means if you are communicating with a sanguine, it's not going to be like a choleric that is very result. It has to be a fun environment. You can't come into the room and the place is dull. If you come into like all this, I don't think a sanguine can sit inside a minimalist themed decoration. Like, why is there just white and black? We need to add yellow, red, and just make it spicy. So those are sanguines. Now, their greatest needs, sanguines or the eyes, is fun, excitement.
I thought it would be attention.
Attention is there, fun, excitement, approval, constant encouragement. So which means that sanguines always want the attention to be on them. If they're in a room and the attention is not on them, or it was on them and it goes off them, they want to bring the attention
back to them. So
that's how sanguines are. Now, under pressure, some of their weaknesses is that they
lie.
They tend to over-exaggerate. Yes. So because they are talking a lot, they tend to over-exaggerate sometimes, and also tend to say things that they are not meant to say. So there's a high possibility that if somebody is going to jar your gist outside, it's most likely it's sanguine. But it's not usually done maliciously, just because they like to be the center of attention. So if they notice that this place is getting dry, what secret can I use to spice this place?
I was going to work. I saw a hippopotamus and then a baby deer on top of the hippopotamus.
Yep. So they can be seekers of attention. They can get very loud. They can get very active, under pressure. Things that annoy them is when a place is very boring. When someone is when you're in an organization and you guys want so much detail and control and organization, exactly, when they are being ignored, things that are routine, they want to spice up the routine, so that usually is the way the sanguines are. Now when you're speaking to this type of person, if you are communicating, you have to communicate to them based on the type of personality they have. You say things like, I like that you are very fun to be with, that you are a friendly person. Then a sanguine, that was your problem, you always talk. You are very
loud. That's
not the best way to speak to a sanguine. You say, I like that you're a friendly person. I like your enthusiasm. I like your optimism. It's very contagious. So when speaking or communicating with a sanguine, the best thing for you to do is to make the environment friendly. Make it fun. Don't make it too you have to play with them or make them feel like it's in a good mood before you now communicate to them. So if you have a husband that is a sanguine, or a wife that is a sanguine, or a friend that is a sanguine, usually they tend to be averse to serious environments. So if you want to have a very serious conversation with them, don't make the environment too serious, because they might tend to be like, this guy is going to come and spoil the fun. So they're usually the ones that their attention span is not, because they're always thinking and they always want to do something. So in a conversation, you have to be very, very wary of their attention span. And it's not because they're not listening to you, it's just because they just want to be, in a fun environment. So that's how you usually would communicate with a sanguine.
I just remembered when I was growing up, because my eldest brother is a sanguine. Jesus. He's very out there. He's now fair. In fact, he's yellow, so it's very hard to miss him. And he was always life of the party. And my mom always complained, "You have too many friends. Everybody's your friend." And now, in retrospect, I'm understanding that he couldn't help it. He just who he was.
That's not,
And if my mom knew this then, she would not have.
If you said some of those things, probably you wouldn't have even encouraged them. Like, okay, you know how to gather people. So he's the kind of person that if you want to do a conference or do something,
and that's really what he's doing now.
Yeah, that's actually what he's doing now. So it's a strength that he has. So whenever you want to gather people for an event, you need your sanguines. You need your sanguines. They are very extroverted. So it's actually a good example. So I even know a number of sanguines. Like our mentors now, Pastor Kingsley and Pastor Mildred. Pastor Kingsley is a sanguine. Very fun-loving, sanguine. So you even see it from the way Pastor Kingsley dresses and he preaches. True. He makes his preaching very, very fun.
He's like a sanguine, though.
Yes, Pastor Kingsley dresses like a sanguine. Yes, he does.
I think he's quite many.
I don't think Pastor Kingsley I don't think his dressing is very conservative. I think Pastor Mildred is more conservative in her dressing. Yes, now.
Okay.
Yes, particularly like cars, he likes rides. He's a very fun.
Yeah, but it's not that he's dressing. I'm like, okay.
So those are sanguines. Now we move on to what you most likely will know as the S's. We call them the peaceful phlegmatics. Their color code is green.
Money green.
Yes. The peaceful phlegmatics, as we call them, the S's. The S means steady, stable. This personality type is usually the most easygoing out of all the personalities. They are very peaceful. In fact, if you were a parent, the most enjoyable child to raise usually would have been your phlegmatic.
I don't know my mother. My mother would say so.
I don't know about this one. So these people, they are very supportive. They are very steady. They know how to listen. They are very good listeners. They will be most comfortable in the background. They are not extroverts.
Yeah.
They are introverts. They are the ones that usually don't mind being at the back, of a particular environment.
Not being seen.
Yes, they love routine. It's important to them that the environment that they are in is very stable, is very predictable. They don't like, too many surprises. The greatest need of this personality type is to be in a peaceful, stable environment, to be appreciated and to be valued. So these are the phlegmatics. You usually would find them in careers like counseling rather, or maybe like NGOs, charities. These people, they are very service focused. They love to serve humanity. If you have a wife or a husband that is an S or a phlegmatic, usually they'll be doing a lot of work with helping people. They want to help the little children. They want to get people out of poverty into this. They just want to help. They are moved by the feelings of others. They just want to serve and they want to help. Now, this type of people, if you want to motivate them, you have to create some sort of close relationship with them. They are relationship focused. Yes. Before you can get something out of them, they need to have a relationship with you. Before you can get something out of them. You say statements like, "I like that you're a caring person." Even as I was saying this before.
Wow, that's what I meant to say to your wife.
I will say it to you.
Wait.
I like that you're a caring person. I like that you're compassionate and you try and get along with others. Now, this is how phlegmatics are. Now, under pressure, Some of their weaknesses could be can be very stubborn.
That's not true.
They can be very stubborn, and because they like an environment to be very peaceful, so anything that looks like as if is going to threaten that,
And peace.
they resist. They can tend to procrastinate a lot.
It's a super story.
They can tend to procrastinate a lot. So these type of people, when you want to have a conversation with them, you have to make sure that the environment is warm and supportive for them, for you to have a discussion with them. These are type of people that if you pick up the phone and you call them, okay, we didn't talk about the sanguine. Sanguine, you pick up the phone and you call them, they usually don't say, hey, my guy, how far? How you doing? What's the song?
Me will link up now.
Brother, I say we cannot become governor. How you go be for honor for this side? Those are the kind of people. No, we link up. We go link up. This na Friday. That's usually the way they are on the phone.
It sounds like the convo you can have with my brother.
Yep. And the peaceful phlegmatics, when you pick up the phone and you call them, they usually are the people that will say, oh, hey, how are you? How's it going? How's the family going? They usually want to ask questions about you before you get straight into the details. So before you have a conversation with them, you want to have a serious conversation with your spouse, with your partner, with your friend. If the person is a phlegmatic, you can't just rush into the conversation. You have to take your time to caress their feelings.
When we first married, maybe I do something to you, come say he did it, and I'll tell you, sometimes don't be harsh, just as in come friendly. And I'm like, but you did something wrong. I'm like, we come by wise. I'm like, but that's how I understand. And I didn't even know that it was because of my personality type. So now,
you now understand. And you understand why I was not too kumbayaish when I wanted to have conversations with her. But because now I know that she's a phlegmatic, if I want to have a conversation with her, I have to say things like, oh babe, I want us to have a conversation. Let's sit down, let's talk. So
that's not how you say it now. We just start the convo now.
So I noticed that this happened and everything. So I can't overly criticize when something happens because she will take it very, very, she'll take it the wrong way. So if you have a spouse, maybe a husband or a wife that is a phlegmatic, usually you hear them making something like, you're too harsh when you talk, or you don't say things in a nice way, because probably maybe the approach you've been using before is very harsh, and they don't say it because they are terrible people. It's just because that's the way they receive information.
So can I just give this last example? So I think it was last week. So before we started this season, right, or rather last season, we would normally upload the episode the night before, like on Friday, right, and then schedule it, and that was our routine. Then this season now came. I
think we should say it after you now tell them what my personality is.
Okay.
You get, so they will understand. So they understand the difference. Okay. So so those are the phlegmatics and the S's, which now moves us to the final personality type, the C's. The cool, the calm, the compliant. You most likely will know them as the melancholies.
Yep.
In fact, our very trusted video editor is a melancholy.
Yep. And that's why both of them gets along so well.
He's laughing behind the screens right now. He's a melancholy, and I am also a melancholy. As you can see, the color I'm wearing, blue. Like we said, we call them the C's, the compliant style. Now, a lot of gist about this very special group of people. These guys are the rule keepers. They like things to be done at a proper way. They believe in doing the right things. They strive to avoid mistakes because they expect perfection in anything they do at all times. So when you hear words that they use words like accurate, excellent, correct, done right. Those are the kind of words they use because the way they are wired, they expect things to be done a certain way. They are usually very inquisitive. They ask questions. They want to have all the answers to something and facts about something before they take a decision. These usually are the people that if you're giving them gist, I say, do you know that a hippopotamus is only in Africa? You will say, based on what? Do you have a fact about that? Or you say, there are 20% divorces in the world. Once they hear that word percent, they are saying, are you sure about this? Because numbers and facts, that's how their brains,
many times are falling victim of
she has fallen victim. She'll just come and just give one, you just pass around and say, I didn't know that Poland is in Africa. I didn't say that. I'm just giving you an example. And she will not be giving, and this is my wife. Let me give you one example. I can say, babe, what's the time? It's 5 o'clock, and my fiber and spirit knows that it's not 5 o'clock. I said it's 4:42. She said, the time is 4:42. So usually this personality, they are very on the detail. Even the way they dress, they are very conservative in how they do things. They usually would prefer to be out of the spotlights. They don't like the spotlights. They usually prefer being alone.
But they don't mind their work.
They don't mind their work being in the spotlight because they've done it excellently. So they usually they are introverts. They don't like going out. They are the ones that you ask them 4 times out of 4. Half a more go out this you can say, vex me, I go just rather day house, just watch match. That's how they are wired. They don't like parties. In fact, if they only go to parties, except they absolutely have to. Usually will not see them being the ones organizing parties. People will usually organize them on their behalf.
Yeah, which is why when we went for Nosa's grandma's 90th birthday, he rather would have stayed in the hotel.
Yes, actually that's what I wanted
for the birthday and gone back.
In fact, my wife was like, Nosa, all your family members, they're at grandma's house. I was like, but the birthday is tomorrow.
Exactly. That's what we came here for.
So tomorrow we will be at it. She said no. Because my father we were the last to get there because we were debating. I'm like, but guy, we just came off a long flight. Let's sleep. Tomorrow is the party.
So they understand. They know we traveled away from Abuja. I'm like,
It was just so interesting. So usually they are not very. They avoid situations that will make them talk too much. In a meeting, they're usually not the ones that will ask questions, except they hear some sort of fact that they don't think is correct. Now, another thing about them is that they love sincere compliments. The key word is what? Sincere. If they notice that your compliment is not sincere, or what you are saying is probably to try and get them to do something and you don't truly mean it, they can be very, very, resistant. Once there's a slightest doubt of your sincerity, they can become, it's like as if you should not even have said anything at all.
Even in apology as well.
Yes, even when you're apologizing to a melancholy, they would listen to the intonation, they watch the body language, they will listen to the things that you did. They want to know that you are actually apologizing for the right. They usually will say things like, when you say I'm sorry, they usually will say,
for what?
What are you sorry about? Let me know what you're actually sorry about. The greatest needs for this personality type is perfection, continuing reassurance, sensitivity. Now, they are actually the most sensitive of all personality types. They are very sensitive, but they usually will not express it out of, but they are very, very sensitive.
Yeah.
Now, under pressure, this type of personality, they become very uptight. They become very overly cautious. They become very pessimistic. They can become very critical of the situation. If something is not going their way, they are very, very critical. They become very technical. So if you are in a situation where you ask them a question and the question does not seem like it's going, maybe the answer, you tell them that this answer does not make sense, they will try and use more grammar and more technicality to make you understand. They can bamboozle you. Exactly. You usually hear them talking and rambling. They will overly give you details, about something. In fact, if you're in a conversation with a melancholic, they will over give you details to make sure that after they are done with these details,
they wear you out.
You must grab this conversation. And if you are a salesman, this is the most difficult personality to sell to, because if you tell them I have land to sell in let's say in Jabi, how much? Do you have C of O? Is there going to be a money there? Yeah. Are you sure that this land is this? How many people there? When did the land is? Who is the person that sold the land? What is he going to appreciate? How long is he going to appreciate by? Say 10%. Are you sure it's 10%? I heard it's 15%. If I sell it, can I make this amount? They are usually asking you too many questions. I'm sure if hawkers on the road watch this video, they'll be like, I don't know what melancholy where I sell to. The guy he asked me a question and can't buy anything after. Which kind of nonsense man be that?
Yeah.
So to motivate this type of personality, usually would explain reasons for a particular action. So when you do something, they want to know the reason behind something. So in melancholy, if you tell them, go and do this, and they don't know the reason behind it, they can become very resistant. Allow them to give questions, allow them to suggest, give them an opportunity. If you have a husband or a wife, give them an opportunity to research, to analyze. So if you have a family project or whatever, usually giving the melancholy the opportunity to research, to analyze, to strategize. They love, their mind is always planning about things. They are the ones that are timekeepers. So if you're going to the airport and the flight is 10 p.m., they've already calculated traffic is 2 hours. If I shower, it takes 30 minutes. If my wife showers, it takes another 30 minutes. Let me give a buffer of 20 minutes. Okay, so we leave at 6 a.m. That's how they think in their minds.
So as you just even said this example, I just realized, I just had an image in my head that, for example, you are planning a family project, like you said, right? So for each personality, what you're meant to do is that you put the D's in charge of to lead the team, right?
Yeah.
And then the I's, you put them in charge of the games. They're the ones that will do the games for the...
And getting people to come for the event.
Then the S's, you put them in charge of the food and catering.
Yes, the service.
And then the C's, you put them in charge of the research.
And the itinerary of the event, the program of an event, that's what you put.
And that's how everybody comes together.
Exactly. So if you are in a team, you can also work in a working environment. This is the way you put them inside. There are some personalities that would typically not be good as a counselor.
Never an eye.
Yes. It's not. So it's not as if eyes will not be good, but except the eye is with a secondary personality.
Exactly.
Which we have mentioned that most people have primary and secondary personalities, which means, but you lead with the primary personality.
Like your own secondary personality.
Like my secondary personality is choleric, so I'm a CD or a male. She is a phleg male, so she's highly more introverted than me because she's primary and secondary personality. She's introverted. I am not extroverted, but if I have to be,
but there are people who don't even know this.
People will not know. Yeah,
they think I'm the extroverted one.
Exactly, but she's actually more introverted than I am. But I'm also, introverted. So if you are having, like, let's say I'm looking for something where, if you want to start a party or plan a party, or to invite people for a party, or to publicize something, people that maybe are in church, you want to do evangelism. These things are not the best.
No,
they are not the best. It's after you brought them to Christ, you cannot tell the sis to preach to them. But to go out into the street, because the sis are the kind of people, because they hate criticism. If they meet one person and the person says no, that's it. I'm like, is it not because I want to lead you to heaven? Oh, yeah, go to hellfire. That's your business. But the sanguines will never take no for an answer. Actually, your explanation of a team is actually very, very accurate.
Thank you.
So when you're speaking to this type of people, you say things like, oh, I like how you always try to do your best. I like that you listen to what others say and feel. I like that you like things to be organized. And usually this personality type, they are very creative. So usually would find a say in a lot of, you can find them in a structured environment. You can also find them singing. You can find them writing poems. You can find them as artists as well. So they are the most creative. Very detail-oriented personality. So you are going to talk about
the example. So normally we would upload our video on Fridays, right? And then schedule it for Saturday. So it just goes up like that. That's what we've been doing in season 1. Season 2 now came. My dear husband answered this on a Monday. Oh, have you uploaded the video? I'm like, and so that I don't seem like a rude wife, I'm like, okay, I will upload it. Now, Wednesday night came, have you uploaded it? I said, okay, I'll upload it. And I uploaded it on that Wednesday, so that I will not have issue. Next week, that came again. Upload it, I have to upload it on Monday.
I said it now.
Okay, you not say like that, Sha. But you not like that. Oh, babe, have you uploaded the video? I'm like, where is this coming from? This is not our routine. This is not what we do, right? And then I was like, okay, no problem. I'll upload it and then I'll have a conversation with him, because again, both of us are actually learning how to communicate, And then I came up from work and I was like, babe, is there a reason you want us to upload this video earlier than how we've been doing it before? I was like, and it was not like that, just to make sure that there are no errors. I'm like, the only thing that can create error is with the music, and we're using the same music from last time to this time. And I was really giving my case, and I realized that, okay, I'm not really getting to him. And I said, no, let me explain my personality to him so that he will know that this thing is doing is checking my body somehow, because I'm used to routine and just doing as it is.
So it looked like I was changing
exactly.
from it. And you know what we said about the phlegmatics is that
they like routine.
They usually like routine. So if you have a spouse that is a phlegmatic, just to add that, if you're going to relocate, you can't just wake up one day and say, baby, the Lord said we're out to Canada. or to Pakistan. It's not going to happen with a phlegmatic.
Nope.
They will push back.
Yeah.
If you're telling a melancholy that you want to relocate, you have to give them the reasons why you are relocating.
Sell the idea
you have to sell the idea. For phlegmatics, you have to carry them along and use words like, I think it will be a better place for us and our family. To raise our children, to make sure that, those type of conversation. For a sanguine, just let them know that the place you are going to is a fun environment and it's going to support them.
They already like adventure.
They already like adventure, so usually would not. The choleric is also results driven. Once you tell them that when they get here, this is how it's going to impact their family. So if it's a man that is moving and you as a wife, you head it. Say that, see, you are into medicine. We are going to Hungary, and the doctors there, they are excellent, and it's a way for you to, whatever your career, bam, you sold the idea to either the guy or to the lady. So when selling to these personality types, you have to understand what makes them tick. So a lot of times, if you notice, I'm sure some people are already thinking that, this is why I had this quarrel in my marriage, because the way I sold this idea to my wife or to my husband, he didn't pick it because of the way his personality is. And I think a lot of times in our marriage, we have had to have a lot of quarrels over, because maybe I feel like, you need to do things like bah, and you are like, even a lot of the ideas we have for Nino and Lula, I think one day I just said, we're writing a book and we're releasing it in 1 month. I could say that she almost wanted to pass out.
I just said, yes, they want to do it.
But I knew on the inside, she was like, this man said, now how fun.
See, let me just tell you, new week, new ideas with my husband. That's how he rolls. And I'm just like, yes, dear, document it. Just keep documenting till I'm ready. Then we will start. But the idea is that don't push like I'm like, no, we cannot, because in the past that's what I would do, But learning how he rolls, I was like, oh yeah, we can do that, make sure that.
Because when you reject an idea for a melancholy, it looks like you are criticizing them, and one of their greatest fears is being criticized, and they are the most critical of themselves. So if a melancholy feels at something, man, it can affect their week. They can be very moody. In fact, this personality type is the most prone to depression. Because they are usually very introspective and very. So you most likely will see a melancholy. I'm like, what's doing you? And they ask how the person's face. You're always morose. One of my colleagues in the office, that when I get to the office, she's always like, no sir, you don't smile. I said, why am I smiling when I don't even to smile? I think this is my normal morning face. This is my rest face. Come out of the lift and say, hey, how are you doing?
I'm here again.
And that is usually because a lot of times they tend to think maybe there's music. They're just thinking. A lot of times I was just appearing. I'm like, man. The funny thing about life is that human beings, so they can be very philosophical in their thinking. They can be very philosophical in their thinking. So I think the major aim of us bringing this personality types to you is because we've always believed that communication is very key in any marriage. And a lot of times you think you are communicating, but one thing we always do that we've learned is whenever maybe we're having an argument and I say something, you repeat and say, this is what you are saying, but this is what I'm hearing. So could this be that in your relationship, you've been saying this, and as a sanguine, you've been saying this, but your phlegmatic spouse is hearing something else.
Another thing that you taught me was that the D's don't easily get along with the S's.
So for the personalities, the opposite of the melancholy is the sanguine. And for that, it means that, for example, if you are in a room and the sanguine enters, the first person to get upset by their loudness is usually the melancholy. Why is this person so loud? Because they are the most
reserved and introspective.
And then the opposite of the D, which is the choleric, is the phlegmatic, because the cholerics are very brash. They can be very brash when they want something, and the phlegmatics, they don't like harsh words, and they like a stable environment. And the melancholics, the cholerics are very, very, out there. So we'll just give you one example so that you can further solidify it in your mind. So let's talk about the 4 personalities approaching a lift, an elevator. Now, usually we'll start with the choleric. The choleric will enter into the lift, and he doesn't mind that there's anybody there, but all he wants to do is he's looking at the the lift panel, and just waiting to get to his floor and get his work done. If you talk to him, it's like, oh, hello, this and that, but he's not ready for chit chat. That's the choleric. The sanguine gets into the lift, and the sanguine, before the lift opens, they are praying to God that there's somebody on the other side of the lift that they can just gist with. So the sanguine is like, Gafana, I'm a year of everything happened yesterday.
Even they don't even know. Oh, hello, my name is.
My name is. You work here. You look very good. And they just want to wear you out with talk because that's just the way they are. And the phlegmatic, they usually would not want anybody there, but if there's somebody there, they will try and be kind to the person, which means the phlegmatic are coming looking at you and like, oh, hi, hello, and you greet them and they're like, oh, my name is Oluchi, this and that, and they just, it's a cordial environment. They don't mind there being a cordial environment. They don't want too many people. The melancholy is praying to God. And there's nobody at the end of the elevator. When you enter into the elevator, they usually will not greet you first. If you don't greet them, they will not greet you. They can literally enter and do like as if they did not see. If you greet them, oh, hi back, and they will not start the conversation because they usually attempt at the most blunt or the most. When people see that you are very blunt, you are very uptight, that's just the way they are because they don't like, people. So that's how you can, if you enter into a lift tomorrow, you most likely be able to identify, or if you have a boss, or you have a mother, you have your father. Now I understand the reason why I had a lot of quarrels or issues with my own dad growing up, because he made one statement one time. I think when I made a presentation to him, he said, son, you talk too much, what are the results? Now in retrospect, I now know that my father was a choleric. He doesn't want details, he just wants results. I was telling my wife about how, because we watch football together as an Arsenal fan, and I remember one Arsenal match where Arsenal played so well, like they always do, and they lost 1-0. And I was talking to my dad, I was like, man, Dad, that was a good match. And he was like, yes, Arsenal lost. I said, but Dad, man, the possession was so good. They played, if you see the passes that they are getting better. He said, son, but what was the score?
Exactly.
I said, Arsenal lost. He said, did they have any points? I said, no. He said, at the end of life, what matters is the 3 points. That's how I eventually found out that my father is a choleric. And I get along well with my mom. She's a phlegmatic, and like we said, the phlegmatic is the most easygoing, personality.
And just to chip in, right, even though this explains how everybody behaves, how you can communicate with them, but there's still the spirit control. There's still the spirit control temperament. Regardless of your behavior, regardless of your personality, that comes with weaknesses, the Holy Spirit really helps us
you with those weaknesses.
So you can have a sanguine who, through the help of the Holy Spirit, is aware of his environment or her environment and knows how to be emotionally attentive or whatever. And you can have a choleric, through the help of the Holy Spirit, knows how to speak with tact and speak graciously. And you can have a phlegmatic who, through the help of the Holy Spirit,
is very bold and very outgoing,
and instead of procrastinating, does things on time. And then the males too, instead of them being very introspective, very Holy Spirit can help them to be, more cheerful, more
full of life.
Exactly.
Yes,
so it doesn't just end with, I'm male, this is how I am. Calm down.
The way people Holy do all this when they want to explain bad people, they say, I'm Sagittarius. Please. Personality is psychology. Very much as we are is psychology, which has to do with the mind. We are still spirit beings.
And experiments.
Research, experiments. So that's actually how psychologists have come from time to now say that, okay, this is how human beings are wired. But however, because we are still spirit beings, we have to allow the spirit lead in every environment. So don't go and give excuse to your husband and say, I'm phlegmatic, that's why
I just run your mouth.
And then you just behave anyhow. So please, we are teaching this to aid you, not to solidify your bad behavior.
Nope.
Do you understand? So as much as you are melancholy, phlegmatic, choleric, or sanguine, you still have the Holy Spirit, but it's also good for you to identify, so you know how to how you respond to life's
and just know yourself
stimuli. So please share this with your spouse, share this with your friend, with your mother, and say, mommy, now I understand. Daddy, now I understand. So, and we hope it was really insightful. It was really helpful to you. And if you want to take the assessments for your personality, remember, like she mentioned, I'm a John Maxwell certified coach. What we do is we give you an assessment to answer some questions, and then we give you like a over 20-page comprehensive report of your personality, the things you like, the ways you would like to be communicated to. It will actually be tailor-made to your particular name. If your name is Tunde, it will say, when talking to Tunde, say this, say that, say this. When talking to him, don't say this, don't say this, don't say that, don't say this. That's kind of the, what we do. Obviously for a fee, but that can be discussed. Anyways, the link is here on the screen, so please click on it and then give me a call. So, I just felt like I just thought it.
I know you're proud of yourself, but you're happy with yourself. This is really what he wants to
I should do more of this. If you want me to teach you, please invite me. So yes, we hope this blessed you. We hope this helped your relationship. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Please follow us at Vinino and Lulu on Instagram for some content. We are revamping our Instagram and you start to see some,
guys,
you start to see some
this
new content.
Jesus. But the Lord is helping us.
It's helping us. We're getting there. So, as always, I remain Nino.
And I remain Lulu.
And this is Thriving at Love and Relationships.